pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. We have minutes of June 27th. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes as prepared?
So moved.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. And at 11 o'clock, we're going to have a public hearing. We'll skip that, and we'll move on down to staff discussion. Suki Sheets, Assistant County Administrator, Local Government Fund. Is that our next?
I think we have some employee introductions this
Okay,
morning.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you. Employee introductions, please.
Miss Eschman.
I didn't get briefed on that.
In order. Good morning.
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 I have those names, thank you. Donna, Lauren, Natasha, and Tracy. I'm Judy Eschman, Director of Job and Family Services, and it's my pleasure this morning to introduce 4 new members to our team. The first is Donna Longworth. Donna comes to us with almost 25 years' experience working in finance. She worked with the University of Cincinnati Academic Health Center for over 20 years, where she was involved with state and federal budgets and funding. And she's going to be our fiscal support coordinator in our fiscal divisions. We're very happy to have Donna join our team today. Thank you. Lauren Smith has a bachelor's in business, and she's worked on 3 different Air Force bases doing lots of things, from running youth programs to helping out with their child development centers and being different kinds of administrative assistant positions. She is going to join our public assistance team, determining eligibility for public assistance benefits. We're very happy to have Lauren with us today. Natasha Meister has a bachelor's degree in social work, and she has been working in the developmental disabilities field since 2009. And she comes to us from Hamilton County, the Board of Developmental Disabilities, and we're very happy to have her join our Family and Children First team as a wraparound facilitator. And lastly is Tracy Bishop. And Tracy has a bachelor's degree in Child and Family Studies and a master's degree in marriage family therapy. She has spent the last 13 years working for the Regional Center of Orange County, California, as a service coordinator helping families, and she's going to be a child welfare investigator. So we're very happy to have Tracy on board.
Welcome. Thanks for moving to Clermont County.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we have Larry Morris with First Transit to introduce our new CTC manager.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Larry Morris. I'm Region Vice President for First Transit, and have been working with folks here in Clermont County for about 3 years. And I'm pleased to be here this morning and to meet you all in person. But I'm mostly here to introduce our new general manager, our new director of CTC, John Raymond. I've had the pleasure of working with John on another occasion in one of my other locations, but he most recently was the administrator of the Wyndham Transit System in Wyndham, Connecticut. And prior to that, he was the assistant general manager in Lynchburg, Virginia, which is where I had the pleasure of working with him. Prior to that, he was our management associate, which is kind of a training position in with CT Transit, which is our largest transit management contract in Hartford, Connecticut. So he had an opportunity there to be exposed to kind of the whole gamut of transportation issues. John's a graduate of the University of Massachusetts, and he caught the transit bug by driving a bus for the University of Massachusetts when he was a college student. So, which is not uncommon in our business. So, I'm real pleased John's here. We've spent some time this morning, kind of going through the projects and things that need to be done, and I'm pleased to introduce you to
Good.
John.
Great.
Welcome, John.
Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you.
to be here.
Good to have you.
Suki, are you planning to present next, or do you want to be?
If the board would choose to move staff discussion up during this time or go through the agenda, it's,
Either way,
to the
whichever you
board.
prefer. What would be your pleasure?
I think we should have the staff discussion while we have, I believe, people in the audience wanting to hear about the local government funds.
There you go.
And that way we can have that discussion until maybe the hearing.
Okay.
See, you thought you were going to get postponed a little bit, huh?
As you are, yes.
Always.
Gumby's very flexible. I'm not that flexible. Okay, good morning. What we have for you today is really just a follow-up discussion. Linda Fraley was here a couple of weeks ago and talked about the local government fund alternative formula. And since then, there was a meeting that they held with the townships and villages on the 28th, and there was some discussion and items that were presented at that meeting that I wanted to bring back and share with the board.
Another meeting coming up?
And there will be another meeting coming up with the townships and the villages on July 19th at the Pierce Township Hall, and I believe that's 7 p.m. So just a refresher of quick refresher of what happened. We are now running to the end. This is our last year of our current formula. It's been in place since 14. We have actually had alternative formulas in place since as far back as 1970 and probably before that.
As far as I know, since the local government fund initiated.
That probably is very true, and
Yep.
I can't tell you the year that was, but it's been in place. At the 28th meeting that was held, the history of the local government funds, a review of the current formula was had, and then it was opened up for discussion. Some of the discussion revolved around the disparity and the allocation currently and how we got to the point where it's currently allocated to the villages and townships. So before that meeting, Commissioner Painter had me run a couple of different options trying to figure out if there is a logical basis for the way that the funds are allocated. And there doesn't appear to be anything that we can measure and apply that would bring us very close to the way that it's getting allocated right now. Okay,
My
so.
understanding from history was that some folks got in a room and decided how to allocate it, and that's how it got allocated, and then then all the townships and villages voted on it and said, okay.
Right.
Yep.
I don't doubt that. There was probably way back, valuation may have been taken into account. Who knows? But when we looked at some statistics across these entities, whether it be population, road miles, dependency being how much is the local government funds a percent of their total expenses, or just a general per jurisdiction equal distribution. We looked at all of those, and a couple of them were thrown out at the meeting. For instance, this one, if you can read it, on the left is everybody that shares in the local government funds. If we did everybody on a per capita basis, which is what this is showing, the numbers in red are the entities that would lose money, and the amounts that are not in red are the entities that would increase. So obviously you will see all of the villages, in this case, would lose significant amounts of money, and the townships would have significant increases in some cases. There was, I believe, 2 townships that would lose. Yeah, Franklin and Wayne. So that was just quick, if everything went out on per capita, because with the current formula, there's a base level that was going to everyone, and then the balance was going out on per capita, a small portion of it. This would be if we did everything on per capita. So this was mentioned in the meeting on the 28th. We also mentioned, if we just did everything based on road miles, given that that's an important part of what the townships and the villages have to maintain also. You'll see quite a lot of red, pink. Those are the losers, and the rest of them would be the ones that would come out ahead. And again, this is comparing to where we were in 2017. The last option that came up, which kind of piqued some thoughts, interest, thank you, Judy, with the townships and some of the villages, was this one where we just said, okay, let's call all of these statistical type allocations equal, an equal percentage. So 20% of the allocation would go to everybody equally. 20% would go based on population. 20% would go based on dependency. 20% would go on road miles, and 20% would just go on the size of the, how much area does each jurisdiction have to take care of. So in this one, you'll see there's not quite as many ones that would lose money. There are quite a few that would come out ahead. But if you look at the dollar amounts on the losers, it's quite big, with the city of Milford being the biggest one in this case, losing $130,000 of the $160,000 that they would have gotten last year. So it's major. What also has been discussed at the meeting is the fact that Milford is one of the votes for the alternative formula, as well as you as the Board of County Commissioners, as well as the majority of the townships and villages, which would be 14 of them. So they all would have to vote on the same thing. However, further analysis of the Ohio Revised Code on the alternative formula does provide the townships and the villages a way to eliminate the need for the Milford vote. What has to happen is you have to have 2 or more of them that have a population greater, majority of the population, approve a resolution that excludes the requirement of the Milford vote. So there is a way around this if they're interested, but until the townships meet and decide, townships and villages meet and decide what they want to do, it's, I don't know what the board's thoughts is on these things. What will have to happen, though, is we will need something by our August 1st session. And I believe, Commissioner Painter, you're not here August 1st? So July 25th, if we want an action by all 3 of you, which is going to be really for this, which will be right after the townships meet on July 19th. So, just stay tuned for the July 19th meeting, and we'll plan on something coming through the board on the 25th.
Okay.
That hopefully will tie to what the townships do, unless you want to propose something for the townships. Okay, wait and see.
Personally, I don't want to propose anything. I think whatever they devise is good.
Okay.
2 questions, Suki. And you may have explained it, but when you talk of dependency, explain that.
Okay, let me jump back to that one. Thank you for bringing that up. So there's different levels that each one of these jurisdictions have as a result of the amount of local government funds they get versus their expenditures.
Or revenue.
So
Other revenue.
I did it as expenditures. That was in a tax budget. The auditor had provided the information on that. So what I did was group the villages, group the townships, and group the 2 cities, and did an average dependency based on the type of jurisdiction, because it does vary a lot. You see, in this case, the cities have the smallest dependency on local government funds. The townships are next, and then the villages have a much higher. So you'll see the villages with a larger.
The dependency is based on how important it is to.
Yes. How important? Percentage of their
expenses.
expenses, right. How much is covered by this revenue stream. Therefore, if you look at that and you look at the villages that are going to potentially lose money, it's going to potentially be a higher impact. on them.
One thing you might want to explain too is that you don't have to adopt an alternative formula. You can go
I
back,
didn't explain
and you
that,
might want
right.
to explain
Yeah,
that.
Linda explained that when she was up here, and it was also explained again at the meeting she had on the 28th. There is a statutory formula that has a lot of requirements in it. It's supposed to end up with a needs-based allocation, but it's very time intensive. It's very, it requires hearings of every one of these jurisdictions to come to Budget Commission and an evaluation by Budget Commission of the need of any one of those jurisdictions.
Do we have any idea how the funding would distribute under that, under
No, we don't know. I don't,
In prior years, when we did as good as you could estimate, because we can't vote by the budgets that are normally prepared. There's a different way they have to list out their budget needs based on needs, but they saw the villages being more of a, based on needs, sort of like in her average dependency formula. That statutory is more based on needs, so villages would be more dependent. Basically, they would probably get larger allocation, which you, in that prior discussion. that we
I
had.
think,
Can't really clearly quantify it because we don't have the right numbers to do that.
if I remember right, that formula started with budget. Their
There's
projected
budgets,
budget, yeah.
But there's certain things we have to remove out of the budget for that allocation.
Okay.
Suki, another thought, I mean, we've got 88 counties in Ohio, and I always like looking at best practices, but do we ever look at, I mean, every county is dealing with this, right?
yeah, I believe 87.
Does anybody have
I thought I
a,
saw that 87 of the 88 have an alternative formula.
Yep.
I have not. I don't know if the auditor's office has ever looked at the alternatives for others.
They're as varied as county, I mean, and one county auditor, like I said, how do you do, we all get together and decide who needs it the most, and it's there's all kinds of formulas out there. I think regarding your comment, Commissioner, over the years,
yeah,
we've had a huge population shift from the villages to the township. And that's one of the reasons when some of us try to go back and figure out what the rationale is, that's where a lot of the people were. But no, we've looked, everybody has, very similar to what we've done, everybody get together, and especially when the funds were cut by the state, everybody kind of like, get a little bit of like a freeze where it's there, someone to talk to, and then move forward, so.
And the auditor's office did a great job facilitating that meeting, and it spawned a lot of discussion. And I think, what it seems like, I've been to 3 township meetings since then. It sounds like that the move is to approve the current formula the way it is, but there's a thought there about limiting that for a year so that people can evaluate these needs, since they're kind of up on that August 6th date. So
Right. The-
I'm hearing that also.
Yeah.
I am too.
They summarized the 3 proposals. The first proposal would be just keep the current formula. The second would be do it for a year and reevaluate. And then the third is, change it completely.
And I would think that we'll pretty much know that outcome on the 19th. Okay.
Because they're going to have to act on it too. Everything has to be to Budget Commission by August 8th,
No,
6th,
It's
August
Monday the
6th.
Tate Township acted on it last night for a year in advance.
Okay.
They put it out there last night in their meeting and approved it.
We received one from Jackson for the year.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So stay tuned for the 25th.
Thank you.
And now we have the consent agenda that was prepared for us and mailed out on Friday. Are there any items that need to be pulled from the consent agenda for further discussion and consideration, or can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as prepared?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as shown on July minutes, or the regular session of July 11th.
Second.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. That takes us over to page 6, item 11. We have a resolution number 110-18 to pay our bills in the amount of $2,237,590.25. Do we have a motion to approve item 11, pay our bills?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. Item 12. Judy, again.
Good morning. Item 12 is my item. If you remember last month, we had a staff discussion about changing some of our foster care rates. Tim Dick, who is the Assistant Director over the Children's Services Division, facilitated that discussion. So item 12 is the proposal that we had about increasing some of the rates. And let me start and then I'll give you some background. 12 is my recommendation with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eichel, County Administrator, to approve increases in the per diem rates and the mileage reimbursement rate paid to Clermont County Department of Job and Family Services foster parents effective August 1, 2018. And then there is a chart. So to summarize the differences, we have changed some of the rates for emergency placements. And as we talked before, emergency placements happen when we respond to a call for abuse or neglect. We can't find a family member that's available to take a child, and we've determined the child can't stay home safely. And then we start calling our foster families. And foster families are somewhat reluctant to take older youth that they know nothing about and the agency knows nothing about into their home. So one of the things that we've done is we have created emergency rates based on age. So the older the youth, the more that it pays for an emergency placement. Emergency placement is 30 days, so at the end of 30 days, the rate for that youth to stay in foster care goes back to the traditional rate. And I will tell you, more often than not, foster families that take in youth on emergency placements, after 30 days have lived with youth for a month, know youth much better, and the youth end up staying. That's pretty typical. The other thing that we are proposing to do is to have therapeutic foster care rates. Now, we get therapeutic foster care services now, but most of the time we're purchasing those services through network homes. Network homes are either private, for-profit, or nonprofit organizations. And our concern with network homes is not the quality of care, it's the fact that we don't keep kids in our community. We should ask a network to take a youth, and then that youth end up in Cleveland or in Youngstown. And if we could recruit more therapeutic foster homes here that are the Clermont County homes, we could keep our kids here. So kids who need therapeutic care are children with up to a moderate, whether it's a physical health, behavioral health, mental health diagnosis or concern. So those kids typically need some kind of treatment at least once a week. So we're asking foster parents to get some additional training to be able to deal with youth with additional needs. And then we're paying them a little more to make sure the youth get to the appointments. They're following up with recommendations from doctors and physicians and supporting that youth through that care. We believe long-term, even though we're paying more for this service, we're actually paying less than we would pay a network home, because a network home has to build in their administrative costs for what it takes to run that program. And for us, JFS already does that administrative work. So the cost actually is less to do our own therapeutic foster homes. We believe that if we have some homes, that we have kids in residential treatment facilities, because those are high needs youth. And as they work through their programs, we're hoping that some of them could step down a little faster if we had a therapeutic home available for those youth, which is a huge cost savings to the county. We'd be able to bring those kids back home, because in Clermont we don't have residential treatment facilities, and there's very few that are close to us. Kids that are in residential truly are several counties away. By bringing them home sooner, we get them hooked up with our own doctors and therapists and psychiatrists, medical professionals, and then as we transition them back home or to their permanent place, they stay connected. So the other savings there is the time. My workers aren't traveling to Cleveland to do mandated visits, to talk to therapists, to attend appointments. They're right here in the community. So there's a time savings and a cost savings for travel. The other thing that we wanted to do was change the mileage reimbursement rate for foster parents. We pay them when they take kids to medical appointments. So basically, if the appointment is Medicaid billable, then they can get reimbursement for doing the transportation, because these children are in our care, so we're responsible for getting them there. So whether the agency does it or the foster parent does it, we prefer the foster parent do it. They have an opportunity to work with professionals, be able to take information they get and implement it at home. So those are the proposals for today. Those are the changes. So that's what item 12 is.
And what is the mileage reimbursement for privately owned vehicles?
Oh, it's the IRS rate,
And what is the rate currently?
40 cents a mile.
Thank you.
54
Well, 40 cents is what we currently pay our foster parents.
54 and a half.
So it's the business, essentially the business rate.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So do we have a motion to approve the increase in per diem? Or do we have any discussion of that? We'll accept a motion in a second and then have discussion. Do we have a motion to approve the increase in per diem rates, the mileage reimbursement rate as contained in item 12?
I'll,
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion for item 12.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Judy.
Thank you. Item 13.
Good morning. I'm Lyle Bloom, Director with the Clermont County Water Resources Department, and item 13 is a recommendation to adopt resolution number 111-18, resolving to determine to make improvements relative to the construction, operation, and maintenance of the collection system rehabilitation 2018 project located in Pierce Township, Union Township, Williamsburg Township, and the Village of Amelia, as set forth in Exhibit A. And this is designated as project number 6402-62007. In compliance with the detailed plan, specifications, estimates of costs, and financing, all of which shall be paid from one or more of any combination of the Wastewater Replacement and Improvement Fund, Wastewater Capital Improvement Fund, Ohio Public Works Commission grant, any portion of any federal or state grant or loan should such become available, and/or by the issuance of notes or bonds pursuant to Section 133.08 of the Ohio Revised Code, and payable from revenues derived from sewer rates and charges levied for the operation of the Clermont County wastewater system, and subsequent thereto, to approve the request to advertise for bids for the project pursuant to the plans and specifications, and to authorize the clerk of the board to place a legal notice in a newspaper of general circulation on Thursday, July 19th, 2018. Schedule a non-mandatory pre-bid meeting on Thursday, August 9th, 2018 at 10 a.m. with bids to be received until 2:00 p.m. local time on August 16th, 2018 here in the Office of the Board of County Commissioners, where they will be publicly open and read aloud shortly thereafter, and the legal notice will also be posted on the county's website. So this is for the rehabilitation or lining of approximately 18,687 feet of our sanitary sewer system. That'll include rehab of the manholes and associated sewer laterals with that. And the engineer's estimate for the project is $3,133,156. And we have, we'll be presenting here in the next few weeks the grant through OPWC, which is in the amount of $800,000 as well.
Okay, very good. Do we have a motion to adopt resolution 111-18 as contained in item 13?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 14.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Adele Evans, Assistant Director, Community and Economic Development. Item 14 is a recommendation of Andy Kukta, Director of our department, with the concurrence of Suki Sheets, Assistant County Administrator, to adopt resolution number 112-18, resolving 1, to declare the implementation of a tax increment financing for the improvement to certain parcels of real property at the South Afton Industrial Park located within Williamsburg Township to be for a public purpose for which certain public improvements are necessary for the further development of that certain parcel of real property identified and more fully described in Exhibit A. Certain parcel of real property to be exempt from real property taxation for 100% of the assessed value of the improvements, commencing on the date an improvement to a new building structure on said certain parcel of real property first appears on the tax list, and duplicate were it not for the exemption granted in this resolution, and ending on the earlier of A, 30 years after such commencement, or B, the date on which the county can no longer require service payments in lieu of taxes, all in accordance with the requirements of the Tax Increment Financing Act. 2, to designate the public infrastructure improvements set forth in Exhibit B together with any other public infrastructure improvements hereafter designated by resolution as public infrastructure improvements made, to be made, or in the process of being made by the county
that directly benefit or that once made will directly benefit those certain parcels of real property. And 3, to authorize the execution of a revenue sharing agreement by and among the Board of County Commissioners, the Williamsburg Local School District, and the Clermont County CIC as more fully set forth and contained in Exhibit C. And finally, 4, to establish a redevelopment tax equivalent fund for the purposes authorized in the Tax Increment Financing Act in this resolution, or for other purposes allowed by law pursuant to and in compliance with sections 5709.77 through 5709.81 of the Ohio Revised Code, collectively the Tax Increment Financing Act. So this is requesting a TIF on South Afton Industrial Park. The district would be a springing TIF, which means that the 30-year period only activates when a parcel is sold and new real property value is constructed on a parcel. The purpose of the TIF district is to enable Clermont County to recapture the investment in eligible public infrastructure made to date, roads, water, sewer, land acquisition, stormwater infrastructure, and potential future public infrastructure related to the development of the site, so any future utility extensions or road extensions that would be needed. The revenue sharing agreement, which has already been approved by the Board of Education Williamsburg School District, which they're here showing their support in the audience today. I appreciate them being here. That revenue sharing agreement provides for 60% of the new real property taxes that would have been captured from the new real property value to be made as service payments in lieu of taxes to the school district. And when funds have been collected, totaling $16.37 million, which is the estimated cost of all potential public infrastructure improvements, the reimbursement percentage to the school district increases to 100% for the remainder of the life of each TIF. And the same reimbursement formula would be applied to Grant Career Center.
Okay. We have a motion to adopt Resolution 112-18 as contained in item 14.
So moved.
Second?
No, go ahead.
Discussion? Go ahead.
Discussion.
Go ahead, discussion.
I just want to make sure we didn't go straight to a vote. I know the Williamsburg Local School District approved this. It was a long process, and nice job trying to get everybody in agreement, and hopefully everybody in the end, we took a bit of a haircut, and everybody is going to benefit as well, so that's good. Was the Village of Williamsburg also in part of this?
The Village of Williamsburg is not part of the TIF district because they would not receive any real estate property taxes from the property. But part of our negotiation with the Williamsburg Local School District was the creation of a Joint Economic Development District, or otherwise known as a JED. And the JED board did meet 2 weeks ago. The mayor of the village is the village's representative. Greg Carson, the fiscal officer for Williamsburg Township, is the township's representative. And then the CIC, Clermont County CIC, nominated myself to be the CIC's representative. And then Greg and Mayor Lefker took action on that and appointed me to the CIC board, or to the JED board. And then the contract for the JED actually says that third person is the chairperson of the board. So I'm actually the chairperson of the JED board. So the village is involved in the JED, which is a 1% district for the income tax on the employees that work there. So
I like the concept. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, you first.
No, I like the concept of the TIF in an industrial park as opposed to TIF in residential development. This won't be putting quite the burden on the school district as other options, so go ahead.
I think I heard you say Rex Parsons, the fiscal officer, but they...
Greg Carson.
Greg Carson. Oh, okay. Very good.
I said Rex, I didn't mean to say Rex.
I-
Greg, okay.
My ears don't always work well.
And not to call on the school today, but you are here in attendance, and would you like to say a few words about the process or
Absolutely.
your expectations? Absolutely.
Would you like
Yeah.
to step forward?
Sure.
Sure.
I'll ask you to state your name and address and your social security number.
No, no, we don't need that. Don't state that publicly,
No, thank you.
unless you have LifeLock. No, I'm just
No, sir, I'll stop at my name and position. Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I'm Matt Early. I'm Superintendent of Williamsburg School District. And when you say the process, it was quite the process, but It was a pleasure to work with Andy Kukta, with Adele, and then through the CIC board in the negotiations and the process. And number one, I very much appreciate the commissioners' belief in Williamsburg Township to invest in South Afton, and the decision by the commissioners and the CIC board in working through the process, which both will set the students, the residents of Williamsburg Village and Township up for a lot of success in the years to come based on the development of South Afton, but also with the recognition that the CIC board, then other entities for the infrastructure need that reassurance that there's a payback based on tax revenue created out of that district. And also just speaking, because I attended that first JED board meeting as well, and that's another great proposition for our town, for our village, for our township, and the creation of this joint economic district, which will continue to help fund certain infrastructure, certain purchases, certain improvements of police, fire, roads, which is appreciated. But speaking from the school district, it's exciting times in Williamsburg, and just the confidence in the investment of South Afton is appreciated, and we look forward to continued partnerships, continued developments, and continued work with Andy and Adele to continue economic development of the east side. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Or?
Should be real proud of Williamsburg. It's a nice community and good future potential.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would like to offer one more statement. I was at the township meeting on Monday night, and the trustees were invited today, but their schedules did not allow them to attend. But they did ask me to provide to the commissioners their support for this TIF, and because of that formation of the JED, it does, as Mr. Early stated, allows the township to have some additional funds to help pay for services that in the township.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adele.
We're ready for roll call?
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Hayner?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. Item 15.
Item 15 is also a recommendation of Andy Kukta, the director of our department, with the concurrence of Suki Sheets, to adopt resolution number 113-18, which resolves to consent to the dual representation of the Board of County Commissioners and the Board of Township Trustees of Williamsburg Township by the Clermont County Prosecutor and Assistant Prosecutors in that office, in and as it relates to the Ohio Enterprise Zone program and those agreements for projects within the South Afton Industrial Park, which is located in Williamsburg Township, for the exemption of real property taxes within the geographical boundaries of the Enterprise Zone in Clermont County. This is not the first consent for dual representation that's been in front of the board. This one is a little bit different than previous ones because it will cover all future Enterprise Zone agreements out at South Afton. We typically, when we've had these dual representation resolutions, it's for specific projects, and those need to be in place before the Board of Commissioners can take action on those Enterprise Zone agreements. We are expecting to have some agreements out at South Afton, and so we wanted to do this one time to help the process of getting those Enterprise Zone agreements. They'll still come in front of the board, but this will just be one less step for us to have to go through for any projects out at South Afton. Yes, it's a blanket resolution for all those upcoming Enterprise Zone agreements, and only for South Afton. So any other projects in Williamsburg Township outside of the South Afton boundaries would be subject to a separate resolution.
We have a motion to adopt resolution 113-18 is contained in item 15.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Hayner?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 16.
Morning. Craig Resner, Clermont County Engineer's Office. Item number 16 is a recommendation of Patrick J. Munger, County Engineer, with concurrence of Thomas J. Agel, County Administrator, to execute record plat number 6293055 This is for a replat Widmer Estates subdivision, replat of lot number 67, and it's located in Miami Township. And the purpose of this is to move an overland flow easement.
A motion to execute the record plat is contained in item 16.
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Painter,
Yes.
Strubel,
Yes.
Humphrey.
Aye. Item 17.
Item 17 is a recommendation of Patrick J. Munger, County Engineer, with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to execute record plat number 6293056 for the replat of a lot in Union Township and its Zagar subdivision, replat of lot numbers 19 and 20. And it's in Union Township, and the purpose is going to be to combine these two lots together to form lot number 19A.
Okay, do we have a motion to execute the record plat as contained in item 17?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Painter,
Yes.
Strubel,
Yes.
Humphrey.
Aye. Item 18.
Item 18 is a recommendation to authorize Edmund H. Humphrey, President of the Board of County Commissioners, to execute a joint application with the prosecuting attorney to amend the order of the Clermont County Court of Common Pleas issued on February 27, 2018, relative to the employment of the law firm of Frost Brown Todd LLC attorneys as special counsel to represent the Board of County Commissioners in its official capacity and to advise it on legal matters pertinent to environmental matters as the Board of County Commissioners may from time to time designate. And this request is to increase the total amount of compensation from $15,000 to $30,000 for calendar year 2018 pursuant to and in compliance with Section 305.14 of the Ohio Revised Code. And this is related to the Freedom of Information Act request for documents that the EPA has concerning Seacoast.
Lyle, the 15,000, I know years ago we put a lot of money with Frost Brown Todd. Is 15 just kind of a blanket? Maybe Judy, you can answer that. Is that kind of the base number we give most law firms?
We did a joint petition at the beginning of this year for 15. Last year, we did one for 30 and increased it, or 15 and increased it to 45. According to OMB, we didn't use anywhere near that amount of money, and so the request this year was to just increase it for 15, and we're not even certain we will even ascertain that.
Okay.
Is that correct, Sue?
This year, we'll go over the.
Oh, you will?
Which is why we're doing that increase.
Okay.
It all depends on what level of activity we're gonna need, and that varies from year to year.
Okay, thanks.
Do we have a motion to amend the orders contained in item 18?
So moved.
Second.
Strubel,
Yes.
Painter,
Yes.
Humphrey.
Aye. We have an add-on us.
Yes, we do. Mr. Hepner?
Good morning, Brendan Hepner, ISD TTG Director. It's my recommendation, with the concurrence of Joseph Palmer, Jail Administrator, and Thomas Eigel, County Administrator, to approve the request to extend the expiration date for disposition of proposals heretofore received on May 17th for an inmate phone system for the Clermont County Jail from Tuesday, July 17th, 2018 through Wednesday, August 15th, 2018, to provide additional time to continue to review and evaluation of bids therefore.
Okay, do we have a motion to extend the expiration date as contained in the add-on?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion.
Yes, go right ahead.
I know Joe's here and Brandon. Joe, I just wanted to ask you on the inmate phone system, the rebid that we're talking about here, what are we trying to gain different than what we have currently?
With scheduling, Commissioner, and vacations the way it was, I need to see a system in operation. 5 bids. 2 are extremely interesting and beneficial revenue-wise. I already know how one system works. It's already installed. I need to see the second system. To see the second system, I need to coordinate with the regional manager based on vacations and his scheduling. I wasn't able to set that up until next Thursday, July 19th. That's the whole holdup. I have to see on paper.
To be able to evaluate, I understand.
No more can be said, sir. As usual, Commissioner, you hit the nail on the head, sir. Right now, I have no more to say than what Commissioner Humphrey says. That will do her.
In that phone system is a sharing agreement as far as the costs that are charged and the revenue that is gained.
Same system, same, with all our bids, that's the same system. Yes, sir, that's the same process.
And the current system is out of where? Is that out of the state of Ohio or at a different?
No, sir, it's right here local. The hub center is 20 miles away in Kentucky with our CPC service. They have been our original servers since inception and are still serving us and serving our needs. This bid is to see what else is out there.
Okay.
So
Great.
Kind of missed that, but the goal is to generate revenue generator? Is that,
I am
because the
looking-
cost can't be that high to run a phone system?
They're very close, Commissioner. You're correct on what I'm doing. In the revenue generation, CPC and IC Solutions are so close that, and not knowing what this IC Solution system is, that's going to be a very determining factor, the operational systems. Yes.
And just to explain how that works, explanation, inmate is detained in our jail, outside family puts money on the books through a kiosk system or through an internet system. Those are booked as phone cards. An inmate can buy a phone card through the commissary. Is that correct? Is that how it works?
That is correct.
And then they actually use that time for a phone call back to a family member, and we'll just say there's a substantial charge per minute for those phone calls that comes off of that phone card, and there's a sharing agreement in between there. And is the sharing agreement currently, is it 70-30? Is it, where are we at as far as that?
I believe it's approximately 80-20. I did not bring the exact or the proposals with me, Commissioner. It's close to 80-20, sir.
Okay. And the 80% being the company or us?
80% is the county.
Okay.
Yes, that's us. That's our funds that we use for a multiplicity of purposes in the jail. It's funds like this that we used to buy the $187,500 scanner at no taxpayer expense.
So it's fair to say that between commissary accounts and phone accounts, that there's substantial revenue gain that can help with the operation of the jail. Lots of things can be bought with that money that you don't have to come to us as commissioners for additional funds.
Again, right on the money, sir. That's exactly what happens.
Got it.
So Joe, it's been a long time when I was booked that I got my one phone call, but are they limited on how many phone calls they get, or is it however much they want to pay for?
The hours phone service is available are set per your classification, Commissioner, and it is a 7-day, 24-hour operation. So there are no limits. It's to your classification as to when you use the phone and the amount of time you have to use such. And again, classification's based on, we have people charged with extremely serious offenses, classified different than someone who's doing time for being convicted for operating a motor vehicle while under the influence of alcohol. Those times and classifications greatly vary.
So someone with a higher classification because of a more serious crime, they're going to get more time on the phone
They
because
would get less time on the
Less.
phone, sir. None of this phone time.
Well, I realize that, but I thought they'd have more reason to be talking to attorneys and things.
That attorney call is entirely different. That is a segregated type of call.
Okay.
You're correct. People that have serious felonies would need to spend more time on the phone with their attorney. The system shuts down for that, Commissioner. Those phone calls are absolutely never monitored in any way, manner, shape, and form. It's through the system, but it's a real different process. The phone system itself will tell you if they attempt to call an attorney, an automatic system will come on and say, all recordings to attorneys are being recorded. Do not speak on the phone at this time. So, yeah, it's a little different for them.
Brandon, sorry, but some of these questions probably don't have anything to do with extending the time for the proposals, but it gives me a better understanding of how the whole thing works, so thanks for your patience.
Anything else?
That,
Roll call?
Mr. Painter?
yes.
Mr. Yubel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Thanks, Brandon. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, gentlemen.
And we have a public hearing at 11, but it's not 11 yet.
Just a short recess until 11.
We can do that, or we can, I don't think executive session will be back by then, so.
Yes, sir.
We'll have a short recess until 11 o'clock. Okay, it is 11, so we have a public hearing on the proposed vacation of a portion of Miami Park Circle situated within the Mills of Miami subdivision located in Miami Township pursuant to section 5553.045 of the Ohio Revised Code. And we will open the public hearing. Craig, do you want to tell us about it?
Good morning, Craig Reisner, Clermont County Engineer's Office. Discussion today is proposed vacation of a portion of Miami Park Circle located in Miami Township. Per request, I reviewed and provided descriptions for vacating two portions of Miami Park Circle, 0.0194 acres and 0.0195 acres. This proposed vacation would not create any landlocked parcels and will not reduce the Miami Township road mileage. We're going to result, if you approve the vacation, the result will be two separate pieces of property, 1.0194 and 1.0195 acres. And these properties will be assigned to Potter Hill Homes LLC. So we had a development, or we have a development in Miami Township, and it is Potter Hill Homes. The original design had, there's a large circle, and there was two stub streets that were built. The developer decided that they did not want the location of the streets to be there, so they want to vacate the stubs so they can use that as buildable property, and they have moved the location of the extension off of the circle. So the whole purpose of this is they have changed the design of their subdivision from two streets exiting the circle to one street exiting the circle. This is our first vacation under 5553045
With this administration.
with this administration. So it does not require a viewing.
Legal notice to be published.
So I went out Monday morning and took a few pictures of the current situation and provided them to the commissioners today.
Okay.
The engineer's office did not receive any correspondence in favor or in opposition to this vacation.
This is right next to Miami Meadows Park, I see from the overheads.
So it's off of Deerfield Road.
Yes, but it's adjacent land to the park.
What's this here, this development, or Jeff?
That is the church school on Woodville Pike.
Got it.
Okay. Pictures are much better than going out, at least for me. I understand what you're doing. Yes. Yep. If anyone present is not signed in, please sign in to the public hearing, and we will take testimony from the public if they'd like to comment on this. Comments?
I would suspect that the proponent testimony is the result of the resolution adopted by Miami Township trustees
Okay.
mid-May. This section of the code that was instituted in 2004, we've had before this board of, not this current Board of County Commissioners, but submitted to the board for consideration at least one other time right after its inception. What it does is it allows the township trustees and any of their constituents to come before them to consider a vacation request, and then they have a resolution and other documentation that has to be provided and submitted to not only the Board of County Commissioners, but also the county engineer, and then a process and a period of time in which to expedite these types of things. It does not require a physical viewing as you do otherwise. It does not require a publication of a legal notice. It does require notice and a period of time in which abutting property owners would be notified. The only abutting property owner was Potter Hills Homes, and they will be the recipient of, should the board proceed. If the board does nothing within a period of 60 days from the date of the action that they submitted that to us, which was on May 31st, the Board of Township Trustees can adopt a resolution and vacate it in spite of it. So the previous prosecutor, in review of the new law and whatever, it would simply be much simpler for us to do nothing, but the concern was that legal descriptions or other things would not occur, and it would be in our best interest and the constituents' best interest to proceed to do what we do in other road vacations and have everything reviewed and have a public hearing for anybody who was concerned to either offer proponent or opponent testimony.
Okay. Is there anyone here today that would like to propose opponent or proponent testimony? Yes, Jeff? Yep. Podium.
Good morning, Jeff Wright, Miami Township Administrator. Thank you for your time this morning, and I appreciate Mr. Reisner's help on this. As the clerk mentioned, our trustees did pass a resolution several weeks ago in favor of this. As Mr. Reisner mentioned, the only affected property owners are Potter Hill Homes. This would allow the Rolfes family to continue with a very successful development. The nexus for them wanting this change, originally a decade or more ago, almost 15 years ago, they had proposed attached home product to be built on the second phase, but with the success of the single family home product they have, and it's very unique, kind of a neo-traditional subdivision that we have. This would allow them to continue with the single family style, much if not identical to what their first phase is. So that was their reason for this. We don't see any issues from a traffic management standpoint, from any other kind of maintenance standpoint. So the trustees and I do ask that you adopt something this morning in favor of it. The Rolfes family is anxious to get started on this next phase, and so we hope that we can keep them on track and on the timeline that they wish for. So thank you, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Jeff, these are modular or prefabbed homes, or what are they?
They are not. They actually are traditional stick-built, entirely built there on site. Majority of them even include a basement, which we don't see with the manufactured. And the price points have been surprisingly very strong. The typical home in there currently selling in their first phase, new homes are usually between $220,000 to $270,000. And these are on very small lots, so they attract some empty nesters and some first-time home buyers. But it's probably a product that we don't have a lot of in Clermont County.
Yeah, I was just looking at their website here. It looks a pretty nice place.
Yes, it's alley access. It's kind of like the neighborhoods that many of us might have grown up in small towns. So that's why another reason it's unique for a suburb.
Okay.
Thanks, Jeff.
So do we have anyone else that would like to speak with us? If not, we'll close the public portion. And is there anyone that would like to offer a resolution?
And I understand that a draft resolution has been prepared.
Yes.
I would move that the Board of Clermont County Commissioners, I recommend to adopt resolution number 114-18, determining to vacate portions of Miami Park Circles situated within the Mills of Miami subdivision, located in Miami Township, Clermont County, Ohio, as described therein pursuant to and in compliance with section 5553.045D of the Ohio Revised Code.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Discussion? I think this is a good plan. I think it's a gonna do well and see all the charts and everything in front of me, and I think it'll be great.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. And back at the agenda, I think we have a need for executive session. Is there anything we need to do before that?
No, sir.
Okay. We have a need for executive session pursuant to section 121.22 G1 and G3 of the Ohio Revised Code to consider the employment, dismissal, discipline, demotion, or compensation of one or more public employees, and 2, to confer with the prosecuting attorney regarding pending and imminent litigation, respectively. Do we have a motion to go into executive session under those sections?
I'll make a motion to go to executive session.
Second.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. We'll be back. Okay, we're back from executive session. No decisions were made. Do we have any add-ons, Ms.?
We do. I need the board to consider a motion to authorize Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to sign the class action opt-in notice form to participate in the lawsuit as a class member in the United States Court of Federal Claims, Kane County, Utah versus United States, case numbers 17-739C and 17-1991C.
Do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
And this deals with payments in lieu of taxes.
Correct.
Got it.
And you'll get that whole piece.
Sure, I'm going
Back to
to.
you.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. Anything else?
Yeah, we have a couple personnel actions in the Water Resources Department for the board to consider. One is John Brown, Water Resource Department Operator 1, wastewater termination dismissal effective 7/11/2018, and Gregory Weisenberger, Water Resources Department Maintenance Supervisor, working administrative leave, disciplinary with pay, and those two dates will be 7/11/2018 and 7/12/2018.
Okay, do we have a motion to that effect?
I will make the motion to that effect.
Second.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. Anything else?
Public participation, and that's all, sir.
Okay. It's now time for public participation. Anyone in the audience wish to participate? Okay, there is none, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I will second that motion.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. That concludes our business for today. Thanks for joining us, and God bless.